I'm 82 years old, and I've been living on borrowed time for almost 19 of those years. They told me my heart stopped for 4 minutes, 4 full minutes, long enough for the room to change without me, long enough for my wife to begin learning how to live without my voice in it. I didn't think much about dying before that day. I thought about bills, deadlines, fixing the porch light. I thought about whether the gutters needed clearing before winter. Death was something that happened to other men, older men, or careless ones. I was neither, or so I believed. It was a Tuesday morning. I remember the smell of burnt toast. I remember being irritated about it. My wife, Margaret, had been up since 6. She always woke before me. I used to tease her about it, say she was racing the sun. She just liked the quiet. I never noticed how much she loved quiet until I almost left her in it forever. The pain in my chest wasn't dramatic. That's the strange part. No thunderclap, no movie scene, just a tightening, a weight, like someone resting their elbow right in the center of me. I stood up to get a glass of water, and the kitchen floor tilted sideways. The next thing I remember is not darkness. It wasn't black. It wasn't anything I can name properly. There was a kind of stillness. Not silence exactly, more like the absence of urgency. No ticking clocks, no hum of the refrigerator, no body pulling at me. I wasn't floating above my body like people say. I didn't see doctors working on me. I didn't see a tunnel with a bright light at the end. What I saw was time. Not in numbers, not in calendars. I saw moments, small ones, unremarkable ones, the kind you forget because they don't seem important when they're happening. I saw Margaret standing at the sink in our first apartment, sleeves rolled up, her hair pinned loosely. I was sitting at the table reading the newspaper, barely looking at her while she talked about her day at the library. I remember nodding without listening. In that place, wherever it was, I felt what she felt in that moment. The slight pause when she realized I wasn't really there with her, the way she kept talking anyway. I saw my son at 8 years old holding up a drawing of a rocket ship. He wanted me to see it before bed. I was on the phone with a client. I waved him away and mouthed, "Tomorrow." I never asked about the rocket again. I saw my daughter at 16 sitting at the edge of her bed after her first heartbreak. I knocked on the door, told her she'd be fine, that boys were foolish at that age. I didn't sit down. I didn't ask her to tell me what hurt. I was always sure there would be another chance. That was the rhythm of my life. Work first, responsibility first, there will be time later. In that stillness, I understood something I never had when my heart was beating. There is no later. There is only what you are doing when someone needs you. The strange part is that there was no voice telling me this. No grand explanation. No booming presence. Just a kind of knowing that pressed into me from every direction. I saw the promotions I worked so hard for. The late nights at the office. The pride I felt when my name was engraved on a little brass plate outside a bigger office door. And beside those memories were others. Margaret eating dinner alone. My children learning not to ask if I could come to their school plays. The way our house grew quiet in a different way over the years. I had told myself I was doing it for them. And I was, in a way. They never went without food. We paid for college. We took a vacation every summer, though I often brought paperwork with me. But love isn't measured in vacations. It's measured in attention. I didn't see flames. I didn't see heaven's gates. I saw my own absence over and over. I felt the loneliness Margaret carried without ever accusing me of causing it. I felt the way my son stopped trying to impress me. I felt my daughter choosing men who were as distracted as I had been. 4 minutes. It's not long. You can microwave a meal in 4 minutes. You can brush your teeth and glance at yourself in the mirror. But in those 4 minutes, I was shown a lifetime of small withdrawals. And then there was one moment that didn't belong to the past. I saw Margaret standing beside a hospital bed. My hospital bed, but I was not in it. Not the way I am now. The room was dim. My side of the bed was still. Her shoulders were folded inward like someone protecting themselves from wind. She reached for my hand, and there was no warmth there. I understood then, not as an idea, but as a fact, that she would go on without me. She would wake up alone, drink her coffee alone, sit at that same kitchen table alone. And all the things I had postponed, the conversations, the quiet evenings, the listening, would stay postponed forever. There was no panic in that place. That's what surprised me. Just clarity. Clarity is not dramatic. It's calm. It's steady. It doesn't shout. It simply shows you what is true. And the truth was that I had lived carefully, responsibly, even admirably by some standards. But I had not lived attentively. I don't know how to explain how I came back. One moment there was that stillness, and the next there was weight, noise, a harsh, bright light, someone pressing hard on my chest, a voice saying, "We've got him." Breath hurt. Being alive felt violent. Margaret's face hovered above me, blurred with tears. I had never seen her cry like that. Not when her mother died, not when we sent our son to college. This was different. This was fear, and I knew, before anyone told me, that I had been gone. Recovery was slow. My body felt older than it had the week before, as if it had glimpsed the exit and wasn't sure it wanted to stay. People asked me what I saw. I told them, nothing much. It was easier that way. How do you tell your children that you saw the spaces where you should have been? How do you admit that you thought love could be scheduled? In the months after, I tried to change. Not in big dramatic ways. I wasn't a different man overnight. That would be dishonest. But I started sitting at the kitchen table longer. I listened when Margaret spoke, even about small things, the neighbor's dog, a book she was reading. I called my son without an agenda. I asked him about his work, but I also asked him how he was sleeping. I told my daughter I was sorry for the times I brushed past her feelings. She was quiet for a long time on the phone. Then she said, "I know, Dad. Time did not rewind. It never does. My children were already grown. They had their own patterns, their own guarded places. You can't undo decades with a few heartfelt conversations, but you can sit in the truth of them." The real turning point came 3 years after my heart stopped. Margaret was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, late stage, the kind doctors discuss in soft voices. I remember sitting beside her in another hospital room, staring at the machines. This time, it wasn't my heart faltering, it was hers. I had been given more time. She had not. For months I stayed beside her. I canceled everything. There was nothing more important. We talked, not about grand things, about how she used to sneak candy into movie theaters, about the first car we bought and how the radio only worked if you hit the dashboard. Sometimes we didn't talk at all. I just held her hand. That was the thing I'd been missing all those years. Presence. Not fixing, not providing, just being there. The night she died, the room was very quiet. Quieter than the place I went to. I felt her hand grow lighter in mine. I leaned close and told her I was there. I told her I wasn't going anywhere. And then she did. I don't know what she saw in her final moments. She never described anything like I did, but I hope she felt my attention, my full, undivided attention. After she was gone, the house changed shape. Rooms felt larger. Chairs felt emptier. The mornings stretched out like a long road with no destination. I had spent a lifetime preparing for retirement. I had savings, a paid-off house, awards, and a box in the closet. None of that sits across from you at breakfast. At 82, I think about those 4 minutes often, not because they were mystical, because they were honest. They showed me that life is not lost in a single mistake. It's lost in small neglects, in assuming there will be more evenings, more chances, more time to say, "Tell me again." I used to believe that dying would be terrifying. What terrified me was seeing my life clearly. If you're listening to me now, and you're younger than I am, I won't tell you to quit your job or abandon responsibility. I won't pretend that providing doesn't matter. It does. But when someone you love is speaking, put the paper down. When a child holds up a drawing, look at it. When your wife stands at the sink and starts telling you about her day, turn your body toward her. Time doesn't announce when it's running out, it just does. I was lucky. I was given 4 more minutes to understand that. Margaret wasn't. Most people aren't. These days, I sit by the window in the afternoons. I watch the light move across the floor. It reminds me of that stillness, but in a gentler way. I don't fear going back there. I only regret the years I wasn't fully here. If this meant something to you, then maybe that's enough. I can't change my past. I can only sit with it. And when my heart finally decides it's finished for good, I hope the moments I see will be different. I hope I'll see myself at the kitchen table, listening. That would be enough.